Hello folks, I'm Dirk Tharpe and welcome to the Carolinas Concrete Cowboy. On today's episode, we're going to talk about how to set a rail into concrete. So, without further ado, let's saddle up and ride. Alright, so to start off with, what do we mean by anchoring a rail into concrete? I know where you've walked into schools, auditoriums, churches, anywhere you see a metal rail, you've noticed, you maybe not have picked up on it, but you'll see this, there's always a hole, and then the rail fits into the hole. So let's look close at that real quick. Here's the hole, and you'll see them different diameters, but you'll always see the post sitting in there. So first of all, now that I've said this, you're probably going to notice it everywhere. The second thing is, why do they do that? How come when you formed up your concrete steps and slab, why didn't they just stick the post in there? I'm sure you've wondered that. The answer is concrete shrinks. Concrete goes from what's called a plastic state. That's where we can flow it into the mold. We finish it, and then it goes into a hardened state. As concrete hardens and cures, every day more and more water is leaving the concrete. So it will shrink. Just a little bit, but it's enough to allow water down in here and cause rust, or to let the rail be wobbly. That's why you never see concrete and a post just sticking in it. Now that we've talked about why are we doing this, let's look at what material we're going to use to anchor our rail. So for today's material, we've chosen Sackcrete anchoring cement. As always, we talk about shake it first. Give it a good cowboy shake before you open the material. What that does is it fluffs it, it aerates it. Okay, see that? So over here, we've already measured the material out. It's 4:1. Most repair products, you're not going to use the whole container. So read the instructions and they're going to give you a ratio. 4:1 means 1 part water to 4 parts cementitious powder, the anchoring cement itself. Always add water first. You do that because you just can't get it mixed right if you pour the powder and then you're trying to beat the water down into it. Here's 2. And I'm going to go ahead and start mixing it real quick. Now, this material sets in 20 minutes under normal circumstances. On a hot day like today, it's going to be a lot faster. So when you start mixing your anchoring cement, be ready to move. Mix fast and move. So when we cut the camera back on, this material is going to be mixed and we're going to place it. See you in a minute. First step is always pre-wet your material. In this case, we're going to wet the hole. Okay, to show you the consistency, see how it's running? It looks like a milkshake. It's running like a milkshake. All right, so you've seen the milkshake consistency. Now we're going to pour it in the hole. See how it runs down there? Very loose material on purpose. So as you notice the rails and the holes, you're going to see 9 out of 10, honestly 9.8 out of 10, where whoever set the rail did not complete the job. They think they did. Look at this hole for an example. Most holes I see are anywhere from a ½ inch to 2 inches down. They stop pouring that material. Let's look at why that's incorrect. Here is an example. Notice the hole. The applicator puts so little anchor in it that I can move the rail. And over the years, water's pooled in this and rusted has eaten away at our steel railing. So that pitted material there is where we cleaned up the rust and then, you know, put a rust neutralizer on it and then primed the material before setting the anchor. But to show you the damage that happens over, who knows how many years, it's according to what part of the country you live in, how aggressive the rust is. So now let's look at what we just did in a proper application to finish understanding how to use anchor cement. All right, now let's look at a correct anchor cement application. We just poured this for you. It's 90 degrees out here, so this is set in like 5 minutes. But you notice how I mounded the material up. I made a nice ring around the post, so what'll happen is over the years the rain will hit and run off away from our post. This gives the longest life you can give the rail, because there's no way water's getting down in there to start rusting. So there's the right way to do it. Now that we've shown you how to anchor a rail into concrete, let's talk about what do you do with anchor cement. This could be a brick base, it could be stone, anything we need to anchor the rail into or a bolt into, it's okay to use anchor cement. The second thing to understand is multi-use. Anything that's protruding from a surface and you need to lock it down, this is a go-to way to do it. Now let's talk about what not to stick in here. The only material that you do not want to stick into a concrete type anchor is aluminum. Aluminum will react with wet concrete. Actually, it's the wet cement in it. It reacts, it can warp the aluminum. You should be okay with powder coated aluminum railing like you can buy at a lot of big box stores. But when in doubt, you may want to anchor in epoxy. Now let's talk about what are the properties. What is anchor cement? Anchor cement is the cousin of non-shrink grout in that when we place it into, such as this hole, it doesn't shrink. It will stay the volume of the hole. If anything else, it actually expands the tiniest amount. And there's how it anchors or locks what it is you're trying to anchor into place. We've gone over how fast it will set. So you've got to have everything ready. If it's in the summer, you've got to have everything ready and pour it, because it will literally set in the bucket. The strength at 1 hour is 2,000 PSI. At 28 days, we're topping 6,000 PSI. So the anchor cement is actually stronger than the average slab that you're anchoring something into. I am Dirk Tharpe. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Carolinas Concrete Cowboy. And until next time, yippee-ki-yay concrete. Legal disclaimer. The views expressed by the Carolinas Concrete Cowboy, although profound, and his actions, albeit masterful, are his and his alone. If you've enjoyed these videos, please like and subscribe to us on our YouTube channel, Carolinas Concrete Cowboy. And by all means, we look for your feedback. If you've got a session you'd like us to do or some questions you'd like answered, give me the feedback below or email me at carolinasconcretecowboy@gmail.com. Happy trails.